When I was in college, there were a pair of roommates, and one was, let's say, she didn't come from a privileged background, dealt with poverty, and was a Black woman. And the other person, I don't fully know about her background, but I know she was a little person, and she was white and blonde. And so we have two groups of people who are dealing with their own sets of discrimination, personal beliefs and biases, and experiences within the world where they're treated as other or different. And I remember, I think I was visiting their room for one day for whatever reason, and I felt like I was in the victim Olympics. Like, who had it worse? Who had the worst experience? Like, is it worse to be Black woman who doesn't have much money and is living, like, going to the school, or is it worse to be a little person and you've been little all your life and you're not going to get much bigger? Like, who wins in this situation? Who is the better victim? Who has the worst experience? Who is more stuck in what's possible for their lives? I'm Latia, and I feel like we live in a day and age where we are more connected through our pain and suffering than we are in the joy and love that we create in the world. And I was watching videos by Dr. Saida Désillets. She was in interviews, and I believe she called it woundology, it sounded like, where being a victim, being oppressed, being down and out, like all of the things that make life suck are kind of what we use to interact with one another. That's how we relate. It's how we connect. It's how we value what we do. And I feel like in the moments where it's most present to me are in moments where people complain, where if the way you stop complaining about your life is to compare it to someone whose life is worse, is that really like a healthy way of handling it? Is it fair to yourself or to that other person? So I was talking with a sales associate at TJ Maxx, and she was like, I'm off tomorrow, so I don't feel like I can complain. And I'm like, I don't mind complaining, because like I feel like sometimes we have to get things off our chest, and it creates space for us to really be grateful and appreciative. And she tells me a story about a woman sitting at a bus stop. All she was doing was complaining. And then another woman comes up who has no arms and legs. And then either the lady with the no arms and legs walks away, or the lady who was complaining walks away. But it's just kind of like, I found it to be an interesting story, because it's a theme that I've heard, where I believe Lewis Howe even mentioned it on one of his episodes about expanding your gratitude, because it expands what's possible for you. And also honoring that when he saw someone who had no legs, how if he's having a bad day, he'll think about someone who has it worse, and that'll make him feel better. And I'm just like, why do we find it okay to get off on the pain of other people and their suffering? It's like, oh yeah, my life sucks, but not quite as bad as that person, so I'm lucky. Or why do we get into these like victim wars where it's like, your life might suck, but you don't have this going against you, and you don't have that going against you? What pride are we taking in all of our like sad stories? And I don't say that I like don't participate. I just know that like I complain a lot. I find a lot of things annoying and frustrating, and I express myself in my truth. So if I'm in a state where I'm complaining and I'm upset and I'm bothered, I will complain. I vent. I do it on this channel sometimes. And I don't like to like be united in a war with people. I actually prefer it when we're creating something and crafting, and we're both excited, and there's like this creative energy behind it where it feels like anything is possible. Like, those are the spaces that are fun to be in, yet they're also very hard to create in a world where it's as though most people like only see the negative, and then their positive is only viewed through the lens of the suffering of other people. Which I just like, I guess I find it like tragical, or like comical in a tragedy sense, satire, where it's like I just I remember like sitting with these two women, and I was just like, I can't believe this is the conversation that you're having. I feel like it's not productive. I don't feel like it's gonna get you anywhere by the end of the day, because either like neither person is willing to actually understand and honor the opinion of the other person. It was all just like, no, this is bad and that's bad. So you're already just tossing a bunch of words at each other, and you're not really like sitting and processing and listening. So like that's already like a recipe for like disaster. But then to compare like just very different situations to one another, it's like, how does that help? So if I'm complaining about like my finances, and then it's like, well, at least I can eat food, because some people have esophagus that don't actually go to their stomach, so they have to like push their food and weird stuff. And it's like, why does that make you feel okay about your finances? Like, why does that make you feel less, like, I guess, out of control? Like, I guess I just don't fully understand it, because it's like we're definitely in a place where it's like we get to celebrate how much of a victim we are. And I don't mean, well, I don't know how I mean that, but I guess it's like, even with the Black Lives Matter and the Me Too movement and all of these things where it's like people who have been victims are finally getting to speak out and make a difference and be activists and like do something different in the world. It's like, yes, and what are we creating? What is the end of this movement? How are we going to take this victimhood and create something powerful and victorious from it? And I feel like that's where a lot of narratives leave off, is we're honoring the victim and the struggle and all the oppression that we've dealt with, but then we don't really do anything with it. And so there's all of these chaotic emotions that are brought up, and they're just left in this unsatisfied state. So now it's like, yeah, we're angry, yeah, we're sad, yeah, we're hurt, yeah, we've been, downtrodden and punished in all these ways by these like more powerful groups, whatever they may be, whether it's like, police officers or white men or women, because I believe that there have been men who have shared in the Me Too movement, from like stories I've heard. I don't follow it, but anytime we don't feel powerful, it's as though there's this interesting dynamic where it's like we can be united in our victimhood. And yet, when we do feel powerful or strong, or like we've accomplished something amazing, now you're a braggart. Now you're a problem. Now, like, that's too much and we can't handle it. And I guess I just find it unfair that I'm allowed to tell you about my wounds and my scars and my battles, but if I tell you about my victories or the goodness that's come from it or anything, then it's like, oh, well, all that's negated. It's like, I can be proud of something and understand that it's not as great as people think it is, and that's not like bad to me. And just because it's been coming up a lot, it's like, I'm a proud, strong, amazing Black woman, and I get that the Black community is like a challenging community to be part of, whether it's how we relate to one another, whether it's how like African versus African American, whether it's light skin versus dark skin, or natural versus relaxed, and like all of these different ways that the group has been divided. It's still like, overall, I don't think I would choose to be a white person. Like, in my experience, like, yeah, I feel like what white people get is like a benefit of the doubt, where it's like, I'll let you tell me who you are. Whereas like a lot of people come into conversations with me with preconceived notions that have nothing to do with me. We all have it, but I feel like since there's a wide experience of white people, I don't feel like, the first thought is like, you might kill me or you're dangerous. It's, I don't know what it is. They're just people, But with Black people, it's like, sometimes it's like, oh, you're just people. And then sometimes it's like, I don't know. There's something else there. And I mean like that with white people too. Because I'm like, it's only been white men who made me feel uncomfortable, like I was in danger. And it was a very specific situation. But it's like, given the context of the situation, if there would have been any other race, I still would have been just as like, I'm going to get out of here as quickly as I can, because I don't know you and I don't trust you. But I guess it's like, to feel powerful and at home and grounded in our skin, to honor our journey and our struggles as they are and as we perceive them to be, and to also, like, how do I perceive this experience and how do I level set and like be okay with it? Not that I want to deny the emotions that it brought up, not that I want to diminish anything that anyone's been through, but it's like, how can I be powerful and victorious in the face of what I've been through? And I feel like that's not the conversation that we're always having. I feel like it's a great conversation to have because there's always something that we're struggling through or working towards. And as we are able to sit and give ourselves a chance to create a new narrative, to honor what we feel, to be whoever we want to be in the face of it, that's when we get to be powerful and we get to like step up into a new level of being. So I feel like, you know, if you want to be a victim, or if you want to, I really just find it weird whenever we get off on the victimhood or difficulties of other people. Like, yeah, there's always going to be someone who has it worse, and there's always going to be someone who has it better. So why not stop comparing ourselves to those people and just honor where we are in this moment? And what can we find right about where we are in this moment? Because as we see that there are things that we do that work and that don't work, we can choose to honor what works and create more of that, and find ways to minimize the impact of what's not working. But we're also coming out of a era of personal development where we focus on weakness and what's not working. So there's like a lot of shifts that are happening, but there's something that you're doing that's working very well and that you can capitalize on and make really good use of it. It's just about having the patience and giving yourself space and relaxing at times. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you have a baby perspective shift, and that you would subscribe, share, like, give feedback. Let me know what you're thinking. I enjoy engaging with people most of the time. And have a wonderful day. See you next time.